I got to find them I could filter for any company that I'm in, the president, the vice president, the director of sales, whoever, who is working this business right now. Show me the system. What is the tool, the app, the video, the training, the daily app? A lot of people use boards now. There's lots of different ways, right? Messenger and group chat and Zooms and all these things. But what is that system that says, if I do this, I'm going to get that?
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up today to bring a legend to our show. We have the one and only Dan McCormick. Dan, are you ready to make it happen?
Fired up, man. I've been waiting for this all day. Actually, for months, you and I have been talking, so I'm totally stoked.
Dan is a special friend. I still remember interviewing him in episode 342. Believe it or not, that was in 2016. And then he came to my event, sat in the back just to check. It was really, really cool to support our No BS, No Hype event in Los Angeles. But for those who don't know who he is, Dan grew up in a single-family home and faced tough challenges growing up. He started building tennis courts when he was a teenager, and he was so determined to be successful. He wanted to go the non-traditional route to become an entrepreneur and got started in direct selling 42 years ago at the age of 19. And 3 years later, he was a self-made millionaire. Today, he has a global team, has made millions in lifetime commissions, and he and his wife split the time between Idaho and Orange County, California. They're proud parents of 4 kids and 14 grandkids. And Dan recently wrote an amazing book that I think everyone should read. It's called Awakening Who I Am. So Dan, welcome to the show. Take us to the background. Like, where did you grow up? I know you grew up in Washington, but how did you end up getting into direct selling?
Yeah, it's a great story. It's a great journey, a great introduction. Thank you so very much. And no matter where people are listening to from today or 6 weeks or 6 months or 6 years from now, hopefully we'll be able to pour into you, because for me, it was hard. I mean, it was just flat out hard as a young man. I didn't know anything other than the fact that I wanted to be successful. And so when I saw that about a 15, 20-minute bike ride from my house in Kirkland, Washington, was an indoor tennis club, the Seattle Supersonics Racket and Health Club. We had 9 indoor tennis courts, 9 indoor racquetball courts, and I got a job, Simon, as 12 years of age. I wasn't even making money. They were giving me credit so I could play tennis, because to rent a tennis court is $20 an hour, and you have to play indoors because there's so much rain in Seattle. So I get this job. I'm making like $2.35 an hour. And 2, 3, 4 years later, I was up to $3.35 an hour. And one of those entrepreneurs at that club came up to me one day, violated my airspace. You know, when people get a little too close to you, it's a little uncomfortable. And this gentleman, I looked up to him. He was a fitness addict. He was a tennis pro, and he owned a company that built tennis courts. And he said, Dano, if you come work for me next summer, I'll pay you $5 an hour. Poof, I'd never heard of that kind of money. So I got a job building tennis courts, and he became a father figure, son. He literally taught me integrity, showing up on time, hard work, always delivering more than you could possibly get what the customer was expecting. And so I finished that first year building tennis courts, making $5 an hour. And then I went to Washington State University to play on the tennis team. And this is where, when I'm live, I always ask the live studio audience, how many of you had a college experience? You know, how many of you went to college, had a college experience? I did as well. And I finished in 2 weeks' time. Now, not everybody would consider a dropout a finisher, but I had to look at the positives and say, I am a finisher. And I went back home, got a job with that same individual building tennis courts. He gave me a raise to $6 an hour, fast track to financial independence. And then the magical day of the first week of August 1982, and an ad appeared in the newspaper. That was kind of like the funnel flow back in the day, perhaps, right? Kind of like a Facebook Messenger group or whatever. And this ad said, are you making what you're worth? I live in Beverly Hills, California. I drive a Clinet, and I made $96,000 in the health and nutrition industry in the last 6 months. Supervisory positions available. Simon, I was scared to death to call this ad. I had no business background, no self-esteem, no self-worth, no net worth. It was there 4 days in a row. And I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, they must be desperate. This ad is still in the paper. And I called. The answering service took my name and number. The gentleman called me back and interviewed me and said, meet me at the Bellevue, meet me at the hotel in Bellevue tomorrow at 11 a.m. And I did. And it was the first day of the rest of my life. It was the most exciting thing I'd ever seen. I saw young people making money. I saw people talking about health and nutrition. I talk about entrepreneurship, monthly residual income, all the buzzwords that I dreamed of. And that's where it started.
So how did you do when you first got started?
Well, I was doing everything that my sponsor told me to do. And that was, I talked to everybody I could, and I didn't know how to talk to people. Right. And I too began to run ads in the newspaper. And I began to talk to my friends, family, and loved ones, grandpa and grandma, first customers, friends, and so on. I even have girls in high school today that they tell me that 40 years later that I would call them up and say, hey, I got this weight loss product for you. Not a good idea to call your old friends in high school and tell them you need to lose weight. But it was really following a system. We did meetings at a hotel every Tuesday night, Thursday night, and trainings on Saturday morning. And we invited for every event, and we recruited to the event, and then we upgraded them on Saturday morning. And my wife and I found ourselves at the right place at the right time and passed our first $1 million in income when I was 22 years of age.
How was a young kid like you, 19, 20, able to convince and get people to join and buy a big kit?
Yeah, it's a great question because I had to convince myself that I could show other people how to do it. I was borrowing the strength of my sponsor. I was borrowing the strength of my sponsor's sponsor. And I saw his check. Back in those days, Simon, we would show commission checks, right? We would literally say, well, look, here's our commission check, right? Here's what we do. And so I would borrow the strength of others, and I really leaned heavily on stories. We had a little journal, a little flip chart, a little book that we would go through and show people the products, the opportunity, as well as the stories to kind of relate to other people. And it was really a game of numbers at that point. How many numbers are you willing to put in? And I was raw. I had to learn how to talk to people. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to meet you at the fitness center and say, hey, Simon, I see you're in real estate. You must like people. And, have you ever thought about giving yourself more leverage, time, freedom, and residual income with as good as you are with people? It'd be a natural. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to compliment you. I didn't know how to do anything other than just tell people how rich they could get. I mean, I was pretty shallow. It was really all about the money.
So what was the turning point or a light bulb moment when you finally got it? And then afterwards, you really started having success?
Yeah, I would say that it was a culmination of 7 years. Like I can say that we made money in the short term because of my wife. Okay. I married my upline. Now it's always good to marry, but I didn't marry just one up or two up. I married 3 up. So I married 3 up. Right. And my wife was a voracious reader, even at 20, 21, 22 years of age, of the Ogmandino work because her dad was in that. And so she would read that. And so it was a culmination for me of incredible mentors, hearing about Jim Rohn in the early 80s, right? Learning from Jim Rohn, traveling the world with Jim Rohn later in the 80s. And it was a culmination of bringing all of these things together that gave me 7 years in. I kind of thought, why don't you just own this? Because I did the work. I read The Greatest Salesman in the World. All of those books are sitting right up over my shoulder right here. And those are all the Ogmandino works. And so when I read The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Greatest Secret in the World, I really felt like I took the challenge from Og. Og gave me the challenge and he said, look, if you follow this program, this system for self-help, you could double or triple your income in a year. Well, I wasn't making a lot of money at $5, $6 an hour, but I knew that if I kept doing the fundamental basics and I talked to people and I knew I was always told that I had to personally grow. I had to learn how to become a better person. And I didn't even know what that meant when I was 18 and 19. And so over those 7 years, those first 7 years, it was a massive all out, I am intentional effort to become the best person I could be.
So obviously, after done over 800 interviews, one common trait of all leaders, it's like what you shared, even though you didn't really know what you're doing, you had self-confidence and self-belief, right? And which most people don't, because they're trying it out, or they think they need results in order to convince people to join, and which you didn't, because you were 19, you didn't even know what to say. And I think this ties into the book, because I was reading your book, Awaken Who I Am, and it's awesome. I think that's what this industry needs. So why do most people fail? And then talk about the why you wrote that book.
So I think that well, for me, I was like growing up with my sponsors. I was growing up in the industry. I was growing up with mentors that were giving me the borrowed strength. They told me how to tie it. They taught me how to tie a tie. I remember buying my first suit. I remember doing all the things to look the part. You know, I didn't want to buy into fake it till you make it, but I certainly could borrow the strength of other success stories and other people's commission checks and things of that nature. But most people fail because they quit. That's the obvious one. Most people fail because of the three things that people don't bring the alignment together on. And that alignment has to come from the mental and all-in intentional creation on how you are going to act, because you have to act from your future self. I was acting like a millionaire when I didn't have $4,000 in the bank. I was acting like I was building a multi-million-dollar business. I was putting out that story. And so when you get all in on your own personal growth, and I know that the greatest salesman in the world did all the things that it could do for me in the first 40 years of my career to help us accomplish really remarkable things. But when you get the mental really dialed in, and you really can, in fact, know what it's like to wake up each and every morning to program the mind. So there's these little things called baby nerve cells. And every morning when you wake up, there's new baby nerve cells. And so what are you going to program them to do? Well, I used to read The Greatest Salesman in the World every morning. And so what I had to do also was say, at this stage of my life, fast forward, what got me here won't get me there. And so when I went to a convention 2 years ago, I saw Hal Elrod's book, Miracle Morning. I picked it up. I watched his documentary, and never has there been a morning in my life in 2 years to where my morning was not more intentional. I had a morning. I had a miracle morning, but not that intentional. And I said, why don't I write a book? And I thought the world was overly negative, to answer your question. I thought there was just too much negativity in the world. And I remember talking to my wife and saying, I think I want to write a book. She said, you want to write a book? Why? It's a huge project. That's hard work. That's a massive effort. And I said, but can we bring more light to the world? Is there a chance we can bring more light and make an impact on someone's life? And so everything from that moment, I manifested. I did not know who Hal Elrod was. He became a great friend, and he wrote the foreword to my book. I did not know Ken Shelton, who's the co-author who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People with Stephen Covey. He became a great friend, a co-author, an incredible journey. And I did not know Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who wrote 10X is Easier Than 2X, Be Your Future Self Now. He wrote the afterword. All of these people came into my life from the moment I made the intentional commitment to change my life and strengthen the conviction of that mental clarity. And so to answer your question in even greater detail, there's most people are familiar with the book called Atomic Habits, right? James Clear. In that book, there's a comment and a quote that he makes that I'll never forget. 2 years ago, almost to the day right now as we film this, he quoted Naval Ravikant by saying, in order to write a great book, you have to become the book. And I thought, wow, if I am going to help ignite the two words to transform your life. So I means exist. Am means with God. What follows I am follows you. And so when you think about that, it's an extremely important thing. One of my favorite athletes in history is Bruce Lee, growing up in Seattle, right? The martial arts actor, philosophical guy. And he said, you never even want to joke about yourself because your body doesn't know the difference. That's why it's called spelling. You cast the spell for affirmations or defamations. And so I'm all in on this affirmation. And I thought we could bring more light to the world. And that's why I wrote the book. And I did something that was very different. You may have noticed it when you opened it, that the very first page, I wanted to do something that had never been done. And that is, I ask you, the reader, to be my co-creator, to be my co-author, to be my friend in the journey, to be able to sign your name right here at the beginning of that book and co-create with me on the affirmations, the I am affirmations that are specific to your life that can make a quantifiable move in where you are. Because I was stuck for so long, Simon, and you wouldn't have known it. Very few people would have known it. But I was on a plateau in my life for the better part of 10 years. And so when I got that invitation from Miracle Morning and Hal Elrod, and I made that intentional commitment to really go all in on me, never even joke about who I am, to be able to I made an 18-minute affirmation video for me to get my mind right every single morning. And then I put it on YouTube and shared it with friends, and people started saying, wow, I love that. Can I get more of it? And so all of these components came to what you experienced when you opened the book and you started saying, wow, it's the reminder of what you said a minute ago. The industry needs this. I'm going to go a step further. Every man, woman, and child needs this because the world is stuck in the epidemic of our day, and it's called anxiety. It's called comparison. It's called ADD. It's called ADHD. And so many people are stuck in this. I'm not good enough. I'm fat. I'm sick. I'm lazy. I'm tired. All these programming or prescriptions, Jack Canfield sometimes calls it prescribing. You're prescribing what's going to happen in your life. I'm inviting everybody right now to join with me and you to go to the highest level of affirmations you've ever been. I even made a coin in the process. So the coin is a coincide with the 7 affirmations. So it says I am, and then the 7 affirmations. And on the other side, it says I am a magnet for miracles. Einstein said that we can either believe that everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. I choose to think that everything is a miracle and that every day I get a chance to meet people, be with people like you, make new friends, and find miracles in my life nonstop all the time. So I'm having a blast doing this.
Your book is awesome. This will put a smile on your face. So when I saw that Bruce Lee thing, because I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee, I immediately highlighted that page because they also talk about Muhammad Ali and the Olympic gymnast. I think
Peter Hidmar.
Yeah, and I showed it to my son because I tell him, hey, if you think negative, you're going to get negative. Like thinking positive doesn't guarantee success, but thinking negative definitely guarantees success. Well, I'm not good yet. Today I'm struggling. I'm not there yet. So I'm going to show that to my son today. I just read it. That was awesome. But I think getting back to the network marketers, right? I think a lot of times you think, oh, I got to know what the words to say, how to close, but none of the skills matter. I think the reason I wanted Dan to share, because none of the skills matter if you don't act like your future self.
Yes.
Right. So give me the example. Give people an example, like how they sabotage themselves. They study, they know all the skills, but they still don't have success. Give us a couple examples.
So I think what you're bringing up here is really great because that's why I made the 18-minute affirmation video. Because when we look at the world of words and the power of words, words have vibration. There's frequency to everything. Paul McCartney was asked, what makes great music? And he said, it's really all frequency. So what is the frequency that you're going to put into that miracle morning? What are you going to what affirmations are going to put into the mind every morning to start the day? How are you going to manifest? What are you going to meditate on? How are you going to bring all these things together? And it's a really powerful thing to trust in that process. Like you have to trust in that process that you're going to program the mind every morning with those affirmations. I like to think of the whole body of my morning, which is, prayer and meditation and quietness, stillness, journaling, all of these things that Hal talks about in his savers in the Miracle Morning. So if you skip that process, you're going uphill all day. If you align with that process, the vibrational energy and the whole state of your being is going to be in alignment with it. And so if you're going to succeed, don't shortcut the mind. Get quiet, get still, get meditative. And the one of the things I love to share, and that is the idea that you want to flow before phone every single day. If the world is stuck by picking up that phone and you go to your Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of the social media places, you're going down the rabbit hole of where the world wants you to go. And you've got to use this to your best interest. You want to align and be the strongest person, the most disciplined person you can be, and flow before phone. In other words, all of the stuff that gets you ready for the day before the phone. And that to me would be one of the first things you can do to start the process to avoid why people fail in this business.
That is so, so good. And for our listeners and viewers, I'll give you an example, right? If you wake up and say, I'm the best, I'm the leader, I lead a big team. You start with that simple affirmation. And that's something I do, right? And then you pick up your phone later on, you see like 2 customers quit their auto ship and 1 downline quit. And the prospect that you're supposed to meet at 5 p.m. is not showing up today. Now you don't feel like, well, I'm the leader, I lead a big team, I have a big team already, I don't need these people, right? You feel all right. But if you didn't do the affirmations and the first thing you wake up, you see that, you're off to a crappy day. Because that's not very motivating. Oh, I just lost 2 customers. My business is shrinking. My team, I don't even have new people. The new meeting at 5 o'clock is canceling on me. You're totally on a total different path. And your next 24 hours are going to 2 different directions. And that's what flow before phone. I love that. And I think someone said this too. It's like, you're on offense instead of defense.
That's a great, I love that. Beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
You have your affirmations. I'm going to act my future self. I want to be that leader. I'm going to go do what I need to do. Instead of being on the phone, you're defensive already. And all of a sudden, the 12 hours have gone by and you've done nothing.
Yeah. And let's go back to what you just said. So let's just peel away the onion here and let everybody know, hey, we're aware where the industry's at. We're aware that people have lost customers. We're aware that people have lost distributors. People have quit. Some of my best friends, they're not even best friends anymore. They decided that, my brother, when I sponsored my brother and he was having a fair amount of success, his very best friend just unloaded on him. And it ruined my brother. It literally ruined his hope, faith, and belief of the entrepreneurial dream. And he's been working at the airport slinging bags for years. And that's okay because he's okay with it. But you have to know what your why is, and it's got to make you cry. This is something that is real to me. This is my life's mission at this point, is to go out there and elevate every possible language and attitude and word, because words have vibrational energy. I'm always filtering for higher quality words. I'm always looking to ask a better question. And I know that no matter where people are at in their journey right now, Simon, you and I have experienced everything that anyone that's watching this is experiencing. We've experienced the highs, the lows, the difficulties, and the old adage, you never quit on your worst day. And if you're having a rough day, call your upline or go to your affirmations, go to your journal, right? Get contemplative, get quiet, and really focus in on the positive and make sure that you reaffirm that you are just as worthy, deserving, and capable as anyone else on the planet to make this.
And, I was teaching my son this, like when things go bad, the only thing that can keep you going is not even your upline, your mentor, is up here, right? It's like those affirmations. That's the only thing that can keep you going. And that's the one thing I respect about Elon Musk. When he started SpaceX, his rocket ships are blowing up, I think for 7 years, didn't work, but he still has confidence in going out there because he's acting like a future best self. And when people, an example, if you're listening to network marketing, if you feel that, if I made the money that Dan has made, it would be so much easier to recruit people, then you need to read Dan's book because you're off to the wrong thinking. Everyone started, I did, Dan did, with 0 people. So it's like people say, well, if I have more results, I can convince people to join. If you think that way, you're off. You need Dan's book because your mind is all messed up. I'm sorry. Because that type of thinking, that's why you're stuck. Or sometimes I talk to people and say, well, I need to learn, I need help to recruit, and I need to learn how to be a leader when I recruit a couple people. No, you don't learn to be a leader when you recruit people. You got to stop being a leader yesterday.
That's right.
That's why people join. That's why Dan is 19 and people joined him, he and his wife, because they start acting like that leader. And I always tell my son this, like, you come up with some reason why you're the leader, you're the best. It doesn't need to be true. It could be the biggest nonsense people, but as long as you believe it, then it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Carrey, right? Carried that multi-million-dollar check around with him and all that kind of stuff. And for me, I tell myself I'm a magnet for miracles, but not only do I tell myself, because I remember that great Price Pritchett when he wrote that book, U Squared. And he was being interviewed by Bob Proctor one day. And he says, not only do you want to write these things, but you want to feel them. And so I thought, why don't I make a coin? Because one of the individuals in my book was on a $500 a day opiate addiction habit 10 years ago this week. And when I went to AA with him, I'd never been to AA. I said, hey, can I go with you? I'd love to. I went with him for his 10-year anniversary. And I watched him get that chip. And I thought, why don't I make a coin so people can feel those affirmations, to be able to say, I am a magnet for miracles every day. My grandkids get these coins and they think it's so cool. Friends in the community, when I meet someone special, I'll give them a coin, or one guy was in my, so you spoke of Elon Musk. Here's a fun story. I had no idea what a Tesla Cybertruck was going to be. But when he broke the window 5 years ago on that first opening show of what a Cybertruck is, I gave him my $100. And so I got my Cybertruck last May, and I printed the QR code to my book on the side and on the back, black gloss with red QR code. But Elon is always operating from his future self. You said it so well. And so when I did that, I had no idea what I was buying for my future self. And here I sit, we waited 4.5 years to get my Cybertruck. And now I just love the idea of being in his car that he designed. It makes me feel more creative. So I'm always trying to stack. I call it the sensory stacking at the end of the book. We talk about the 7 levels of affirmations. And so you want to stack all the senses. And if you're looking to be successful in network marketing, the mental comes first. You've got to have the system in place. Every great financial run I've made has been backed by a system. And when you know what that system is, your onboarding system, you know what your mental system is, you know what your fitness systems are, your dietary systems are, but your business system, when someone says, how do I do this? How would I make X amount of dollars during these holidays? How would I make this much money on an annual recurring basis? Well, let me show you my system. And this is what we do. And so when you take the idea of the mental system and you stack it with the business system, and then we come to your favorite word and historically my favorite word, and I'm even going deeper with you now than I've ever gone with anybody on your favorite word, consistency. Because Elon Musk likes to challenge every assumption. So I started challenging the assumption that is consistency the best thing? And I started asking myself, but if I'm just consistently reading this book, which I read for 40 plus years, right? There's the greatest salesman in the world, 40 plus years. Now let me change the paradigm for you. What got me here won't get me there. I dove in every day on those scrolls for 40 years. I wake up every morning thinking I am nature's greatest miracle, which is Ogg's 4 scroller. I am, today I begin a new life, he writes, from a paradigm of an alcoholic. And then, he talks about all these unbelievable things. And then he says, if you'll take this challenge for the next year, I'll give you 75-1 odds that you'll even finish this task. Because he wants you to read the scrolls 3 times a day. And the final time, he says to read it aloud. Why? Because of the vibration, the energy, hearing your voice, the affirmation, to say out loud, I am nature's greatest miracle. And so I'm so fired up on this idea of the mental approach to the business, stacking the systems, and then going to the consistency and saying, is what I'm consistently doing getting me results physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially? And that is, to me, where you get the triumphant or the superpower that you asked me to respond to. And that would be my superpower. I've showed up for 41 years straight. I don't take vacations. And when I do, my wife knows that I'm a little bit ornery.
But, I wrote about, talk about consistency, because I wrote about this in my book. It's like, people think, what are the habits, tricks, and routines to consistency? It starts with what you talk about, the mental. Because if you are that leader, I am that leader, then you are going to be consistent. But if I'm trying to figure this out, you're trying to figure it out, then you're not going to be consistent. Because the littlest time the thing will sabotage you. But getting back to the coin, I need to get one of those coins for you. I'm going to share a story with you.
I'm sending you one. Probably.
Yes. I need that because I need one for each of my boys. Because I always I taught them since they all do baseball, competitive high level. And since they were 5, I said, what's the first thing you do before you do anything? Right? What's the first thing you do before you get to the plate? What's the first thing you do before you pitch? And they all know I'm proud. Okay, I'm proud of Daddy bragging. They say to visualize.
Yes.
Visualize. And here's something that like related to what you're talking about, like getting to the positive state, right? Like one of my mentors told me, before you prospect, if you just take a fist and you say, I'm the best, 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 I'm the best. God, immediately my energy level right now, Dan, is higher, right? And then you go pick up the phone and, hey, this is Dan, this is Simon Chan. You want to just get started with our home business. Immediately have the energy and passion, right? As opposed to, oh, I got to pick up the phone. But so I was teaching my son this, my youngest one, right? He's 8. Before you at bat, say, I'm the best, because he was down, right? We were in the cage. I'm pushing him hard. Say, I'm the best, And he said, do you feel better? I said, yeah, I feel better. It's okay. So in the game, you can't do this. Obviously, you're at the on deck circle. You can't pound your fist, but maybe you can pump your fist. Like, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. So I'm so proud of him, because 2 weeks ago, I saw him on deck. He was like, I saw him closing his eyes and he's pumping his fist. But if he has that coin, I'm going to give him that coin and he's going to do that. You can put it in his pocket. That'd be awesome.
This is such a great story because you've got a personal experience on this. And so the first day I have the coin in my pocket is August 29th, 2024. I'm at my country club in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I'm playing golf. The first day it's ever in my pocket, I make my first hole-in-one of my life.
That's awesome.
First hole-in-one of my life. Now, my handicap's about a 1 or a 2, and I say, what the heck? That the first day ever. And so you want to have the coin to feel, and someone might say, oh, that's a coincidence. But are you willing to risk your life that you can stack all of these visuals, the auditory and the kinesthetics, and bring all these 7 levels of affirmations together? I'm saying, yes, you can go to affirmim.com. That's my website. People can purchase the coins there. And I even do a bundle, I think, for 3 for Christmas. And so you want everyone to have a coin. You want to feel and be reminded all the time. Especially, it's interesting. Jack Nicklaus had a visualization technique. And so he would look at a piece of grass like 18 inches in front of his ball that was the line of target. And that's what his visual was. If I hit it over that piece of grass, I got a good chance to hit it and get it to land where I want to hit it. And so the visualization technique is powerful for your son to visualize back to ball. I'm going to be on first base before they get the ball there. I'm going to steal second. I'm going to hit a home run, or whatever those visualizations are. It's powerful. I'm fired up to see how you like the coin. You're going to love it. You're going to dig it.
Yeah, and this is from a book by Tom Hansen. Talks about a mental game of baseball. It's like the 3 steps to success. So we review this in the car. What are the 3 steps? Number 1, be in control, right? Which is like you said, you got to be in control of your mind. Number 2, have a mission. Just hit the ball hard. And number 3, let it flow.
Yes.
Don't overthink it. Just let it flow. And
let it flow.
Your conscious mind will come out. But most network marketers, they don't have step 1. They're not in control. They're like, I'm struggling. I'm not there yet. I'm not. And going back to that little coin, what happens if my son uses that coin and he strikes out? I always tell him, what happens if you strike out 3 times? What do you say to yourself? He's like, I'm the best. Exactly. Doesn't matter. So you use that coin, that Dan, and 3 prospects and you suck, this business stinks. What do you say to yourself? I'm the best, because you're the leader, right? You're
right.
Going back to, you got to, like you said, you got to act like your future self.
Yeah. I'm a magnet for miracles. And if I strike out today, I'm going to be, I never forget hearing this mega multi-billion-dollar star in my business say, look, when my business isn't working, I go work harder on me. Right. And that is the visualization. You can never give up on the dream, the entrepreneurial dream. I believe right now, at this point in time in history, the industry is ready for the next wave of growth like we've never seen. Someone is going to innovate. Someone is going to systematize. Someone is mentally going to get that dialed in and build the biggest business that has ever been built in the history of direct sales network marketing combined. This is your time to be all in on you.
No, I agree. And if you think that while the industry is declining, you feed yourself negativity,
that's right,
going to the affiliate model, this and that, then you're going to attract that, because again, going back to I'm the best, or using that coin, your energy and passion is not there. You're not excited. And then you're going to struggle with consistency, right? Like the only thing you have, if things are struggling, is your vision, the mental game. And that goes back to what you talk about in your book, the affirmations, the awakening who you are, awakening who I am.
Yes. Yes. It is so much fun because I even print t-shirts up when I do book launches. So on the shirt it says, what follows I am follows you. And then on the back, I have the QR code to the book. I put the QR code on my car. I put it on my shirts. I put it everywhere because I now believe, so I'm so all in, like 1000% all in, that if somebody wants change in their life, These are biblical words that come from the origins of language. I am, right? And what follows I am follows you. And I don't know every single network marketer that's watching today. And I don't know what difficulties and struggles and aches and pains you have and the comparisons and the anxieties, but you can change.
Yeah.
Qualitative change can happen as fast as you can read those affirmations, do that 18-minute guided affirmation video. Feel that qualitative change can happen fast. Qualitative is going to come before the quantitative. If you put the qualitative and start raising your life, start operating from your future self, lo and behold, you're going to be walking right into the movie and you're the star of the show.
You know, I think I read somewhere, I forgot what it was, on some newsletter today. They said, someone said, change, you can all change, but not changing is also a choice.
Yeah. So
right?
true.
We're making these decisions. And getting back to like striking out, right? Like if you don't have your self-image, I am the best, I am the leader, like I'm a great player. I always teach myself, who's the best player here? I'm the best. Well, if you're the best, you strike out. So what? Everyone does, right? The greatest players strike out. If I'm the leader and 3 people cancel on you, so what? Every leader, I mean, Dan, how many people have canceled on you, right? How many people you went to the Starbucks and didn't show up? Right? I always joke about it. If you set up a meeting at a Starbucks and you never had a person never showed up, then you just haven't worked hard enough.
Simon, some of the first people I sponsored, a guy named Joe up in Seattle, and we had a little $400 starter kit that we started people with. And I was so excited because I sponsored Joe. And Joe was in the industry for a lot of years, but his check to me bounced. And I never collected that money. That $400 was a big deal to me. Then I walked up to a Nordstrom's counter in Bellevue Square Mall. I was told that I needed to get out and talk to people. And I was walking up to a cosmetics counter, very attractive lady. And I said, Dennis, my sponsors, I said, Dennis, this looks like a lady that would like to make $10,000 a month. And she leans forward on the counter and she says, you're absolutely right. How would I do that? And I said, Dennis, tell her the story. And so he told her the story. She came to the meeting. She signed up. She bought the $400. Her check bounced. 2 of the first 3 people I sponsored, $400 check. I didn't even know what a bounce check was.
Like, tell people why that matters, because some people now with every automated payments don't even understand the significance.
That was my cash flow. That was everything to me. It's like all I had, right? I think I started off with my $400 and I had maybe $1,200 in my checking account as a 19-year-old making $6 an hour. And so it was humongous, and it was a gut punch, because then you call them back and you say, Joe, why'd you bounce the check? And, oh, I'll get the money to you. And the lady, Anna, why did you bounce the check? You know, I need that money. And they never paid me.
So you went from so excited at a department store, signing up this woman, and your checks bounced. But you have the future best self, right? You see yourself as a leader. I'm going to bounce back from this. It's not like, oh, this doesn't work. No one's signing up. This industry doesn't work. I can only get bad people. No one's serious in this industry. It's all mental.
Well, let's talk about that just for a minute. So when you think about in the 18-minute guided affirmation video that I have that you can get on my website at affirmiam.com, and when you read the book, you'll see it. But when you go through the I am affirmations, we talk about I am a creator, right? We are all creators. You create memories every day with your kids playing baseball. Your wife's overseas right now doing great things, creating memories, right? My wife is a master at creating memories for the kids. So you say, I am a creator. And then you say, I am intentional. But here's a really important one, and that is, I am present. Now, the 4th one in the book is, I am worthy. And the worth of souls is great in the sight of God. And I made a special 7-minute affirmation video. It's free on YouTube. I am worthy. 7 minutes long. There's a story of a lady in the book who started a clothing company, and she found that most women do not feel worthy, beautiful, and loved. And so she thought she would make pajamas, and on the inside, it says, I am worthy, beautiful, and loved. So why do I tell you this story? In order to make your present better, you make your future bigger. When you make your future bigger, you can look at your past, the bounce checks, the relationships that didn't go your way, the jobs that didn't, the careers that didn't, all of the things that didn't go your way. You get to say, That happened for me, not to me. It happened for me. And now my present is so much better. There is nothing in my past life I can't forgive myself and others because my present is now so much clearer because my future is so big. I get to go out every day and be on podcasts like this, speak on stages of the world, and try to find another soul that needs to learn the principle of I am. And what follows I am follows you.
That is so, so good. Hey, we're going to wrap up. You've been amazing. We can talk forever. As we go towards the end of the show, some quick questions to pick your brain, and these can be one sentence, one word. First one is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you, Dan?
I have a lot of them, but I'll go with Stephen Covey. You can't talk your way out of problems you behave yourself into.
What is one habit that's helped you become successful?
One single habit is absolutely consistency. It's always been my favorite word. Your book is a shining light to that in the world. And so, yes, consistency.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Be a student.
What's your favorite prospecting tool? So say someone's a qualified prospect. Do you like to meet them face to face? Do you like to Zoom? Do you like to send them a video? What do you prefer?
I like to stack all of those, but face to face is the best for me always. I want to feel it. I want to touch the emotion, the energy. I want to be a part of this process, look them in the eye and really feel. If you're going to match my energy, we're going to go to the top.
What's your favorite app on your phone that's not a social media app?
I'm a flow before phone guy, so probably it would probably be YouTube because I love personal development stuff on YouTube.
You mentioned Og Mandandino and also a couple books, but what's the best book you read in the last year?
So I think that historically, I could say the best book that I've read in the last year would be Miracle Morning. But the best book I read in my life was The Greatest Salesman. And now I can honestly say, after reading my book into the audio form, living my book for 2 years, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. To be able to take that paradigm of I am and every day filter for higher quality and know that I am just as worthy, deserving, and capable as anyone else on the planet to achieve whatever those goals, dreams, and aspirations are.
And here's the last question, the $1 million question. You ready?
Let's do it.
So imagine you had to start all over again. You knew no one. You didn't know your wife, didn't know your grandkids. You were like an alien that went to another world, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you do or the first place you go to build a network marketing business from scratch?
No matter what company I was in, I would look for the system that is onboarding people the fastest, upgrading people the most effectively, and duplicating the model most effectively to return what I call the 2 comma club. You want to get in the 2 comma club, you got to be able to find a system that's truly going to duplicate for you. It's got to be able to find the system that is going to allow the flow of onboarding, upgrading, onboarding, and upgrading nonstop. That is our model. It is to duplicate. What is your duplication model?
So how would you find people?
I got to find them through, I could filter for any company that I'm in, the president, the vice president, the director of sales, whoever, who is working this business right now. Show me the system. What is the tool, the app, the video, the training, the daily app? A lot of people use boards now. There's lots of different ways, right? Messenger and group chat and Zooms and all these things. But what is that system that says, if I do this, I'm going to get that?
That is so good. That's like totally different answer than most people have said, and really good. Hey, as we wrap up, any last words of advice? And then what's the best way our listeners can connect with you and get a copy of your book?
Well, thank you for the opportunity for all of the listeners on your channel and all of the work you've done for years to be incredible at your craft. I know you travel the world to give back, and it's just awesome. Anyone can go to Amazon and purchase the book. Obviously, they can get there. You can go to Kindle and you can get that version. You can go to affirmiam.com to look at all the other tools, because we're not in the business of just books. We want to have tools that stack. We want to be able to sensory stack all of these things, from the coin to the book to the master classes, the coaching, and all the things. But the the real excitement for me is knowing that the best is in front of me. And I'm just thrilled that you invited me to be here.
And what's the best way people can connect with you?
Dan McCormick, very easy to find on Facebook, easy to find on Dan@affirmim.com is the other one, Dan@affirmim.com.
MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you've been hanging out with Dan McCormick. So keep up the momentum and go to MLMNation.com. Click on the podcast tab in the show notes with all the nuggets of wisdom, the books that Dan talked about, his book, and the summary of this episode will be right there, including the link to his previous episode we did back 9 years ago.
Wow.
Yes. Anyway, Dan, in order to be successful in life, in business, and network marketing, you must help others. So thanks again for sharing your valuable time here. We are grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, and God bless you.
God bless all. Thank you.
Hey, ML Nation, Simon Chandler. Great show from Dan McCormick. Really cool. You want to catch the original one 9 years ago, 342. You can, episode 342, you can go catch that. But definitely connect with him. Go to MLNation.com and click on the show notes page and all the nuggets of wisdom, the summary, everything's there. Definitely follow him as well. And I think I could go on and on about this because the mind is where everything starts, right? That's why the most recommended book by all entrepreneurs is Think and Grow Rich. It's not do and go rich, skills and go rich. Most people are looking for skills and shortcuts, but they don't have the mindset. And if you don't have the mindset and how you see yourself, I was teaching my son this. We went to Arizona for a big baseball tournament, and it's a 6.5-hour drive. Driving back during Thanksgiving was a huge traffic in Palm Springs. Took us 9 hours to get back. But we're just talking about success principles. And the success was like five principles of success, aside from hard work and all that. But is because everyone works hard. But why do some people make it and some people don't? It is not the work ethic, but it's how you see yourself, your self-concept. What do you say to yourself when things are terrible, when things are not working? What do you say to yourself? Will you say, oh, I can't do it? Or say, I am the best. I can do it. I am that leader. If you're waiting to have results, if you say, if I sign up a couple people, I can show my friends and I'll recruit people, you're missing it. That's not the way it works. Because in every business, you're selling a vision. You're not selling the results. You can have great results, but you're not excited about your vision. You don't deeply believe in it. You know what? You're going to sabotage yourself. You're not going to show up. If you have the vision, if you start acting like the leader, you got to be before you become. Start acting like the leader, you won't be consistent. Start acting like the leader, you won't be down when people quit on you. I see it all the time. People say, well, let me try this business out. If you try, you're not going to make it. You're just not going to make it because you have doubt. So if you have doubt, then because our body always like to be consistent with the way we feel, right? So if you have doubt, then you're not going to show up because why would you waste your time doing this business? But if you have conviction, if the vision, you start acting, you will be there. And that's why going to events, having accountability, surround yourself with motivated people is so important. That's why I go to events. I go to mastermind events. I don't go to a lot of events, but I put myself in situations where I'm hanging out with people who are better than I am, who are more successful than I am, because that inspires me to have that vision. Because when things are bad, the only thing that can keep you going is your vision and how you see yourself. It's like my son had this past tournament, probably one of the worst hitting tournaments. So like, how do you feel? Who's the best hitter? If you have doubt that you're not the best hitter, then you're just going to get worse and worse, right? You got to forget about the strikeouts, forget about the bad, and just keep, I'm the best. And going back to the vision. And that's where the affirmations, I am the best. I am this. I am a good hitter. Or for network marketers, I am that leader. I am a top recruiter. I am someone that people love to follow. I am someone that gives constant value. If you start saying that, you're not going to be, I'm afraid to post on social media. I'm not showing up every day. You're not going to have that. Correct? That's what I wrote in my book. The first thing is up here in the mind. Anyway, great show. I can go on and on. It's something I'm really passionate about and something I spend a lot of time working on myself as well and teaching my kids. Because I know like if my kids have that mindset, they'll be successful in anything, not just baseball and school. But if they don't have that, then they're going to be struggling. So work on that, my friends. Work on that, ML Nation. Hey, make sure you head over to MLNation.com. Follow Dan McCormick, an amazing leader, great dude. Still remember when he came and supported my event. He's one of the first people on the podcast as well 9 years ago. Go check him out. Go get his book. His book is really good. And he's got some, I didn't even mention this on air, some really big name leaders, big name people who wrote forewords for that book. Hal Elrod, right? Benjamin Hardy was a big time business author. If you've never heard of him, 10X is greater than 2X, wrote the afterword and forwards for his book. Really top level people. And it's an incredible book. So go check it out. Anyway, that's what I have. Work on the mind. Remember, you got to be before you become. God bless you all. Go out there, have a positive impact on someone's life. And don't forget to subscribe and review. Be blessed.